This episode is brought to you by Liquid IV. Whether you're working out, side on your tan, or running errands at the perfect pace, Liquid IV powder keeps you going with 2 times faster hydration than water alone. Because real life is extreme enough. Real people, real flavor, real hydrating. Buy a stick in store or at liquidiv.com with the code podcast for 20% off your order.
With a mix of tennis, badminton, and ping pong, pickleball has taken America by storm. Even though the sport's been around for nearly 60 years, it's recently had a major resurgence. People of all ages are hitting the courts, providing friends and families with a fun, competitive activity to do together. Dr. Fotios Tjoumakaris says pickleball's become a staple on his family vacations.
It's like the fastest growing sport in the United States. And so not just amongst retirees, though, in high schools and in middle schools, they play in gym class. And so my kids have gotten hooked to the point where my son even won his tournament at his local high school and loves it. So when we go on vacation, like that's the only time I get to play. So I play with my kids and it's great. I love it. It's really fun.
Tjoumakaris is an associate professor of orthopedic surgery at Thomas Jefferson University and the director of orthopedics at Atlantic Care Regional Medical Center. Aside from competition, he says pickleball is a great way to socialize, especially for older Americans. Decades of research has shown that social interaction improves a person's overall longevity and happiness.
It's a communal thing. That's why you see young people liking to do CrossFit. It's not because they necessarily love that heavy workout, but it's this communal thing, pushing each other to do better, that competitiveness. We all have that little bit of competitiveness in us. And if we can do it in sort of a social way, it's great for people. So we want to encourage it, at the same time, limit injuries from it.
Tjoumakaris specializes in knee and shoulder problems and has already seen an influx of patients with pickleball injuries. He says many of them occur in the shoulders.
I'll see the occasional person who twists their knee on the court and might tear their meniscus, or maybe in a rare instance might tear their ACL and a ligament in their knee. But most of the time I'm seeing things like rotator cuff tendonitis. Because pickleball isn't that physically demanding, you'll see people play for 4, 5, 6 hours, and they'll get these overuse type injuries like tendonitis, bursitis of the shoulder. And in rare instances, they do it long enough and the symptoms go on long enough, and we'll start to see rotator cuff tears.
In addition to the long hours, many people are playing pickleball multiple times a week. And though you may not want to hear it, Tjoumakaris says the best way to prevent injury is to limit your time on the court. And when you do finally get out on the court, Tjoumakaris recommends warming up with some dynamic stretches.
For me, because I'm not moving around the court as much anymore as I got older, so for me, it's mostly about my shoulders and my upper extremities. So I sort of warm up a little bit by doing some light stretching exercises, similar to what you would see a lot of baseball pitchers do before they go out and pitch. Just windmill my shoulders, stretch them out, reaching across my shoulder, stretching out my capsule.
If you have any additional tightness in your back or legs, take the time to loosen up before getting into the game. It may take a couple extra minutes that you'd rather be playing, but it can save you from injuries down the road. Additionally, it doesn't hurt to put ice on your muscles after you've finished playing.
I think if you don't like to be sore maybe the night after or the night that you've played or that you've done something recreationally that could hurt, then sure, ice is helpful. It'll cool down the joint. It'll reduce post-workout inflammation. I guess there's debate whether or not or how important that is, but I still think it's a great idea. And you'll see it. You'll see it when you have these athletes that are taking care of their bodies well. They'll warm up, they'll pitch or throw, and then they'll cool down with ice after, so they don't get all that inflammation that night and the day after. So you kind of go in the day after kind of feeling pretty good.
And though pickleball is a great workout, Tjoumakaris says additional exercise like weightlifting will keep you at your best.
You're taking care of your arm, you're getting it strong, you're keeping fitness up, things like that. So, and you're also sleeping enough that you're giving your body adequate rest so that the repair process, whatever intrinsic repair process we have in our bodies, that we can accomplish that and not set us up for having another injury or sort of stacking injuries on top of each other. So I think if you hydrate, get adequate rest, sleep well, that your body will sort of get an adequate nutritious diet. I think your body will take care of the rest.
So you open Google Chrome on your phone, you're hunting for a super rare first edition vinyl of a band you're obsessed with, when you're supposed to be working. but this site you tapped on seems pretty shady. And Daryl from IT just jumped up from his desk. Oh no, he's coming your way. It's a good thing built-in malware protection keeps you safe and sound. Not from Daryl, though. Sorry. There's no place like Chrome. Download Google Chrome on your phone.
With all of this activity, there's a good chance your muscles will become sore, no matter how diligent you are about the post-game cool down. Muscle soreness is natural and is needed for muscle growth. However, make sure that you're able to differentiate it from an actual injury.
Soreness is sort of muscle-induced soreness from maybe you haven't used that muscle group in a while. Maybe you strengthen a new muscle and you sort of pushed it to a limit, but that soreness should go away fairly quickly, whether it be a day or two. Pain is something different, right? Pain is when I'm literally not sleeping at night because my shoulder hurts or something hurts, where I go to move my arm and I'm unable to do it. And it's starting to invade the normal functional things that I do in my day, like grooming, like taking care of myself, like just writing or using a keyboard. That's when I know that I've kind of pushed myself too far.
However, Tjoumakaris says that if you're making an effort to stretch and strengthen your body while not overusing the joints, you'll most likely be able to avoid that pain.
I do advise against that old adage, like no pain, no gain. We really don't want you to be in pain. Remember, you're here to have fun. This is a recreational sport for most people. They're not making money doing it. So you want to make sure that you preserve your body long term so you can play well into your 60s, 70s, and 80s without running into these problems.
But for those of us who've lost some mobility and are looking for a less strenuous activity, Tjoumakaris says getting on an elliptical or bike riding are great alternatives.
It's not going to strengthen your upper body so much, but it helps with your balance, it helps with your coordination, and it helps with hip, core, and upper quadricep strength. So bike riding is probably, and if you can't get outside and bike ride or you're a risk for fall, then doing it on a stationary bike is great for you. If you could access a rowing machine, that's a whole body workout. So there's a lot of things that I think people who can't maybe get outside and be physically active can do sort of in a closed setting inside a gym or something like that. Those are sort of the three aerobic activities because they're not just strictly aerobic. They also, at least with the exception maybe elliptical, but bike riding and rowing also kind of are muscle strengthening exercises too. So they're really good activities for patients.
You can find more information about Dr. Fotios Tjoumakaris and all of our guests on our website, radiohealthjournal.org. For more behind the scenes, follow Radio Health Journal on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Our writer-producer is Kristen Farah. Our production manager is Jason Dickey. I'm Nancy Benson.
Radio Health Journal returns in just a moment.
Coming up next week on Radio Health Journal.
A music degree holds certainly as much validity as an organic chem or a biochem degree, and we certainly wouldn't put a preference on either of those.
How music and medicine are more connected than you may think.
Then, how to advocate for yourself in healthcare.
I joke that women would fire a hairdresser after a single bad haircut. Yet I know too many women, patients, colleagues, who will go to the same doctor even though the relationship is not satisfactory.
All that and more on Radio Health Journal. I'm Elizabeth Westfield, host of Radio Health Journal. If you enjoy listening to Radio Health Journal, you'll also like our sister show, Viewpoints, which covers a wide array of topics from education to history to the environment. Here's a preview of what they're covering this week on Viewpoints.
I started getting help, like mental help, because I felt supported. Like I felt like, no, I can do this. There are good people in this world.
We dive into some of the data and assistance programs that are helping to break the cycle of poverty. Then,
this year in particular, in a lot of the eastern states in the United States, we saw a lot of that activity much earlier than we typically expect.
The impact of shifting weather patterns. I'm Marty Peterson.
And I'm Gary Price. These stories in depth this week on your public affairs magazine, Viewpoints.
Listen to Viewpoints on your favorite radio station, iTunes, and Stitcher.
And that's Radio Health Journal for this week. Follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram to learn more. And check Apple Podcasts, Google Play, and Spotify for a library of past programs. Plus, you'll always find previous segments and information about our guests at radiohealthjournal.org. Join us again next week for another edition of Radio Health Journal.
An important message from Blue Ridge Hospice. There may be several hospices now claiming to serve the area, but Blue Ridge Hospice is the only local hospice that has been serving here for 40+ years, operates the only hospice inpatient care center, conducts the only community-wide grief and bereavement programs, offers a nationally recognized music therapy program in conjunction with Shenandoah University, outscores every other Virginia hospice in Medicare's quality scores, and so much more. Blue Ridge Hospice, the first, the best. Find out more at blueridgehospice.org.